Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the Syrian Siren. I'm going to be doing brief readings for what you can expect for the new moon in Libra. I believe it's this Sunday. If you want to double check on that, check out Charlie's star. She's in my bio. She's the astrologer. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I'm hearing Aries, so we'll start with Aries. What message do we have for Aries for the new moon in Libra? I'm hearing new beginnings and I'm hearing some endings for some of you. What message do we have for Aries? Okay, so Aries, I'm already seeing here. Okay, so Aries, this is so confusing. Okay, Aries, so you're concerned that somebody might be out to get you. And you're right to a certain degree, but I'm also getting that paranoia, that concern that you have is starting to manifest in people that or essentially is starting to cause you to view people that don't have any ill will against you in a negative light. Does that make sense? So it's like maybe you've kind of recently realized like, okay, I give too much to people that are envious or that are crazy or that are codependent or that are whatever the case might be, right? And what I'm kind of getting here for you, Aries, is that you're right about a lot of that. Like you might have realized like when you set some shit up, like maybe you might have set some traps, Aries, or like you might have like realized like, okay, if I do A, B, and C and this person behaves this way, then I'm gonna know that they're this, right? Okay, so you were right on a couple of occasions, but now you're at a point where yeah, okay. What I'm kind of hearing here for you, Aries, is that some of you guys have recently been burned, okay? Burned, backstabbed, betrayed, whatever the case might be. So you've learned to set better boundaries to protect yourself, and that's fantastic, okay? Now you're kind of being guided to learn how to trust again, because what I'm kind of hearing for you is that you were looking at certain traits in people from your old wounded perspective, Aries. Does that make sense? So it's like, maybe you were looking for certain traits in people and you could pick up that people were being fake or didn't have your best interest at heart and you were actively overlooking it. You could be dealing with a Leo or you could have Leo in your chart. But interestingly enough, Aries, it's almost like now that you've kind of mastered that and you're like, okay, no, this is not what I want. Now it's time for you to start opening new beginnings. Okay, now it's time for you to start learning how to open up and to learn to embrace the different traits in people that are actually positive attributes in their personality, okay? I'm being told to give an example. Give a relationship example. Okay, so let's say, Aries, that you're super used to people being really argumentative or really, I'm hearing desperate or clingy or something like that. And then you associated that clingy desperation obsession with them actually being interested in you. And then now that you're healing, you realize, okay, that's not a way to judge somebody's interest. That's literally me wanting somebody to essentially be endless validation because I don't feel good about myself. So now that I do feel good about myself, those traits are a turn off for me, right? But now you could be in the energy of like, okay, well then now how do I determine somebody's genuine interest where it's not going to be codependent, where it's not going to be toxic, where it's not going to be argumentative drama, la 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 all the time, right? That's kind of what I'm getting in like a romantic sense, like in a work sense, right? Like maybe you were used to having bosses that took advantage of you, took advantage of your time, but it was really a lesson for you to learn how to set boundaries. Maybe I'll name that the video, learning how to set boundaries, because then when you get to a new job and like, let's say that your boss asks you to work a little bit late, right? Now you're more inclined to be like, no, fuck that. Even if you can, but it's because you're traumatized from the past job, right? You're traumatized from the past relationship. So it's like, essentially, now you're learning how to implement the new lessons that you've learned into your current environment. And what I'm kind of getting here is, I'm hearing, maybe how will meet your eye. I can't hit that high note. I'm not Lata Mangeshkar, but essentially that's a song from like one of the most famous, if not the most famous Bollywood movie in the world, Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge, which means that the bride will be brought to you in Diwali, like a holiday, right? an Indian holiday. And essentially that's the first song in the movie where the girl is dancing. Essentially she's singing about meeting the love of her life. And she's like, you know, I wonder what he's like. I wonder where he is. Like, he's going to come and he's going to do A, B, and C. He's going to come and he's going to do 1, 2, 3, right? And essentially she's stating all of these things that she wants in her partner. Like, like, do you know how he is, who he is? Can somebody tell me where he's at? Like, will he do this? Like, will he do that? Like, this is how I want him to talk to me. So essentially, for some of you guys, you might actually be trying to manifest like a love interest. But for you to do that, you kind of need to shift your perspective, shift what you're looking at, shift how you perceive people, because what's happening now is that you've healed from certain toxic traits or red flags in people that you used to perceive as signs of interest, or signs of, or good signs that were actually bad signs. And now you're stepping into the power of, okay, so how do I implement that now? And what's happening is you're starting to view people that don't have the bad traits in a negative light because they're different from you, right? But that's because you're stepping into this new energy of needing to learn what healthy boundaries are, right? That's going to be the message then. Healthy boundaries is kind of what I'm getting here. I might pull some features and preferences for you, Aries. But so you're being wary, which is good. But don't make assumptions, because what I'm kind of getting here is like, this is giving me, you might already have an interest in somebody, and you might be kind of paranoid about them doing you dirty, or paranoid about them because they work or function differently than what you're used to, right? But that's what you wanted, right? So it's like, if you wanted somebody to behave differently than what you're used to, then you need to start, I'm kind of getting some of you guys need to sit down, like kind of like in that song I was singing, sit down and write down, okay, or even do research, like, okay, so what are healthy boundaries in a relationship? Like, what are signs of infatuation, and what are signs of actual romance? My ear is ringing, so I'm thinking I'm on the right track. Like, what's the sign of a healthy partner? What's the sign of an unhealthy partner? What are signs of compatibility? What are signs of incompatibility? Because I'm kind of getting here that you have somebody in your energy, Aries, that actually is a good option for you, or has the potential to be a good option for you, but you're looking at them with a suspicious eye for the simple fact that they're different from you, which that's kind of how it's supposed to go, right? They're different from you. So for some of you guys, I'm kind of getting here that you might be a little bit too reactive with this individual or with these people, this job. Just take it where it resonates, right? And the reason why is because you're still in that middle phase of, okay, so what exactly am I looking for? I know what I'm not looking for, and that's fine, but I'm not trying to manifest what I don't want, right? I want to manifest what I do want. So for some of you, it's a matter of knowing what your boundaries are. So let's say, for example, you've dealt with some crazy, toxic, obsessive people, drama, all that bullshit, right? And now you're like, okay, I know for sure that I don't want somebody that is argumentative, right? And then you might be with somebody else and then they don't argue with you at all. And it's like, you could get really up in your feelings and like, you want to get those emotions out. And they're essentially telling you like, okay, let's find a solution for this because I don't want to argue, right? And what you're struggling with is that you want a way to healthily express those negative emotions, but you don't know how to do that without it being an argument. So you might erroneously think that this person is disregarding your emotions, when in reality, they're saying, hey, look, I see that you have these intense emotions, but I want to come to a solution because I care about you, right? And then for you, you're just so in your emotions and you're used to somebody arguing with you that it's like, well, is this a sign that this person doesn't take me seriously? Or is this a sign that I need to find a healthy way to express my negative emotions, right? Like that's kind of what it's giving me, Aries. It's like, this is now becoming an issue because it's time for you to reflect. Like, okay, now that I know what I don't want, what is it that I do want? Okay. That's kind of what I'm getting here for you. So there's somebody in your energy, Aries, that you're misinterpreting their character, or you're misinterpreting messages about them or something about them because they're different, but I'm going to get more information. Can I get more information for Aries, please? Okay, so some of you guys have been betrayed in the past and you, okay, so some of you guys do want to relieve your burdens, excuse me, relieve your burdens with somebody. So yeah, so like I said, this could be like an issue where you're having like intense emotions or you're trying to heal through something. And maybe your method of communication is different from somebody else's. That's not necessarily a bad thing. You could be dealing with a Libra or a Capricorn. The new moon is in Libra. Yeah. Okay, so for some of you guys, okay, for some of you guys, you listened to toxic people's opinions about somebody. And now you're realizing that they're the ones that are toxic and this person is not toxic. For some of you guys, I'm hearing you might have ghosted this person. Like you kind of just pulled the plug on it. You didn't say anything to them because you couldn't understand. You couldn't understand them. And it was like, instead of trying to learn about this person, you fell back into old patterns and you kind of allowed for other people to, I'm hearing, to skew your perspective on this person. But then you probably went back to like an ex or to these people, these friends, or this job. You went back to it and you got involved in the same fuckery, the same drama, the same bullshit that you know you didn't want. And now you're like, okay, you're moving away from all of that because you're realizing like, okay, wow, I was really around some really toxic, dishonest, I'm hearing brutal people. And now you're kind of paranoid because you moved away from that, and you might be scared that you're going to experience that again with this new person or with this new job or whatever the new energy is, okay? Aries, this is an opportunity for you to learn. It sounds like you need to get better communication skills because I'm getting the energy that you're on this vibe of I'm picking up and I'm going if I'm not feeling it, right? And it's like, hey, you do what you got to do, but there's somebody that you're dealing with or somebody in your energy that actually really cares about you, but because their method of expressing is not, I'm hearing it's not toxic. Like, I'm sorry, Aries, maybe you're into some toxic people, okay? They're not toxic. It's like they're very solution oriented is kind of what I'm getting here. They're very solution oriented. For some of you, what I'm hearing is you're using, this is going to sound so fucked up and just take it with a grain of salt. You might be used to people who kind of spread their seed everywhere. And like, because of that, you could just be really used to like the same kind of person, okay? And for some of you Aries, I'm being guided to tell you that it's because you keep choosing the same kind of person. I hear a lot of people say like, oh, I attract these people. You didn't attract these kind of people. You attract everyone. You chose these kind of people because of behaviors that you were looking for, that you thought equated to love. Or you chose this job and you would continue to have this relationship with these types of careers because of whatever lack of boundaries you have. You say yes too much, you jump the gun too much, you argue too much. There's something that you do too much of, and you might have a bad habit of projecting that out onto people and not taking ownership of where it is that you're not making the best decisions, right, Aries? So what I'm kind of getting here is now you're starting to realize, okay, I have a lot more control over my environment than I might know. And now you're in a new environment or you're with new people and you're struggling to acclimate because it's so different from what you're used to. And I'm kind of getting, for some of you guys, it makes you kind of just want to dip out on it. That's really up to you, Aries. Honestly, I'm not going to be here and be like, oh, you should try this, you should do whatever. Like, you should do whatever the fuck you want, Aries. If you feel like you got to dip to protect yourself, dip to protect yourself, okay? Sometimes if this is a relationship and you haven't fully healed from the past, it's because, or I'm sorry, you're emotionally unavailable because you haven't fully healed from the past, and you're gonna have a hard time seeing the good in a lot of people until you heal from whatever happened. But the other issue that I'm also kind of hearing is that you're not letting go of these assumptions about people. So it's like you're taking the assumptions from the past and you're applying them to people that they don't apply to. Okay, so with that having been said, Aries, it sounds like you need to do a little bit more self-reflecting, or you need to not jump the ship so quick and allow for people to show what their intentions are to you. Because if you're in a new environment with people that are not toxic or are not lying to you or not playing you or whatever the case might be, sleeping around on you for some of you is what I'm hearing. You need to actually learn what that looks like, what that feels like to have a loyal partner. You need to learn what it feels like to have somebody that is solution oriented, somebody that's balanced, right? That's what you need to learn. So you might resent that. Like, for example, like, let's say, I keep hearing something about people sleeping around. So let's say, for example, you're used to people cheating on you, right? And then you get with another person. And the thing about like these cheaters, they probably love bombed you, tried to make you obsessed with them, love spells, all that shit, right? Then you get with somebody else who's not that crazy obsessive because they're insecure, right? You get with somebody that is secure, that's not crazy, not obsessive, whatever, and they're like genuinely interested in you. And then you're so used to people being crazy and obsessed, it's like they're like, hey, I really like you, and then they go and focus on themselves, and then you're like, do you like me though? Like, do you like me? Do you like me? Do you like me? And over and over and over and over and over again, and you're getting irritated with this person because they're like, yeah, dude, like, what the fuck? yeah, I fuck with you. Like, why are you always like, why are you on me like this? And then you're like, well, clearly they don't like me because they're not obsessed with me. And it's like, no, people that are obsessed with you are problematic, right? Because people that are obsessed with you don't respect you. That's just flat out. They're enamored by the idea of you. They're not enamored by who you are. They're just infatuated with the idea of you, and they're scared of being alone. And that might have been you in the past too, Aries. So anyways, I don't want to talk too long. What's the final advice for Aries in the situation? I gotta look up the lyrics to that song. Okay, yeah, for some of you guys, you might breadcrumb people, or okay, you might breadcrumb people because you're afraid of opening up, and that's creating obstacles for you wherever it is. Like, wherever you are in life, you need to learn coping mechanisms. That's what I keep hearing, is coping mechanisms. So if you're in constant need of validation from somebody, you need to learn how to give yourself that validation, because nobody in this life is going to be there to constantly like call you every 5 minutes and let you know that they care. Which is funny because I was struggling with that the other day myself, Aries. I was just kind of like, is such and such gonna switch up on me again? Are they gonna switch up on me? Like, are they gonna switch? And I was like, you know what? Honestly, I can't control if they switch up on me. Like, either it works or it doesn't work, right? Either we mesh or we don't mesh. I can't control what this other person does. All I know is I'm getting a really good energy from them right now, and I'm enjoying it, and I really hope it does stay consistent. But if they're inconsistent with me, well, then that just means that we're incompatible. And I don't need them to constantly tell me all day or post about me all day or whatever like that, because that's not healthy, right? But sometimes you want it because you're coming from a wounded place where you need a lot of validation, or a lot, like you could have been cheated on or something like that. Like, you need a lot of validation, you need a lot of attention. You don't necessarily need it, but you want it, right? And there's one of two ways to go about that, Aries. Either one, you communicate that with the person that you're dealing with, and you say, hey, I'm in a really vulnerable spot right now, and I'm sorry if I feel like really clingy, or if you feel like I'm all over you, whatever the case might be. It's just like, I really like you, and I'm afraid of this not working out. And allow this person to kind of express to you like, oh wow, I didn't know that, or whatever the case might be. Or stick to yourself, not saying like, oh, ignore this person or ignore being in a relationship. If you want a relationship, do what you got to do. But what I was going to say was, when it comes to whoever you're dealing with, like if you're getting really good energy from them, but it's just you're used to toxic relationships, first thing in the morning, pull out your tarot deck if you have one. Don't look at other readings, because you have an issue with listening to people too much. Not all of you, but some of you guys, right? Because you're scared, and that's fine. It's normal to be scared. But get your little tarot deck or an oracle deck or whatever it is you need to do, and get in the morning time. Ask your ancestors or your spirit guides or allies, whatever you call them, ask them, okay, what is it that I'm struggling with that I could improve on, or whatever like that? Or what message do you have for me? Or even if you're feeling anxious about this person, you could even pull a little reading. For some of you, I'm getting that you might be tarot readers. Pull a little reading and be like, okay, why do I feel triggered right now? And allow for your guides to help you kind of heal through it. Because I don't want you to start damaging your future relationships, or damaging where you're at in life, damaging a good thing, Aries, because it's so different from what you're used to. Because for some of you, I'm hearing that you actually manifested this person or this job. So it's like you might have already gone through the journaling phase. I'm like, stop and stare. I'm moving, but I don't know where. I don't know what that song's about, but I'll post the lyrics in the story as well. Anyways, but yeah, so I'm kind of getting for you guys, it's like, it's time to start addressing your own behaviors and your own insecurities, and where it is that you need to grow. Because for some of you guys, you might have manifested a person, manifested somebody that you really wanted, and you might be pushing them away because there's still healing work to do. Okay, so let's see. What messages do we have from this person for Aries? Since this does kind of feel romantic to me. Twin flame. Oh, bitch, that's why. Starseed. Okay. Yeah. All right, Aries. This makes a lot more sense then. You guys could be mirroring each other, and that's what's kind of frustrating you. So if you're dealing with a twin flame, Aries, this is what I'll tell you. You and this person are probably mirroring each other, and what that's kind of telling me is that you guys might both need to do a little bit of healing, and maybe you're both misinterpreting each other. So it's like they could be seeing you in a certain way, but that's because they're trying to protect themselves. You could be seeing them in a certain way, but that's because they're trying to protect themselves, right? And because you're trying to protect yourself so much, instead of communicating what the needs are, what your fears are, instead of communicating that, you're kind of regressing into old toxic behaviors where you like try to protect yourself, and you could be keeping yourself from a good thing. Okay, Aries, that's what I'm getting. So this person could have a sweet tooth. I'm hearing that you might have one too. You could be dealing with somebody that has braids or locks. This person, I'm seeing that there might be somebody else in their life, maybe. I don't know. Or you might have dealt with a cheater in the past. Because I see that it says, I hide messages from you. So I don't know. Maybe this person is in a relationship. Okay, Aries, I don't know. But what I do see they're saying is that they're afraid of losing you. I'm hearing that there might be some secrets, like you might have secrets. There's secrets that need to be communicated. This person could have a lighter complexion. They could be skinnier. For some of you, they're saying they're not ready for this connection. But like I said in the reading, it feels like there's healing that needs to be done. Does that make sense? It's kind of like you could really want a healthy relationship with this person, Aries, but there's healing that needs to happen. This person could have a skater style. They could be a fire sign, Leo, Sagittarius, or an Aries. So that's what I have from you, Aries, and I will see you later. Bye.